Have you ever opened your banking app and instead of panicking and slamming it shut, you actually felt a sense of relief? That feeling shows up when you no longer have to measure out your morning coffee down to the penny. When going grocery shopping no longer means surviving on instant noodles the week after. There's a certain amount of money that flips this experience completely, and it is not the number most people imagine. See, most so-called experts love to say you need $1 million to feel secure, or at the very least, six figures in savings to be considered wealthy. But the truth? It's not even close. There's a much smaller number, yet powerful enough to change the way you view money altogether. Once you hit this number, your relationship with money transforms completely. And that number is $20,000. My name is Jack. I spend most of my time thinking about money, about how people behave around it, and why some folks seem to build wealth almost effortlessly, while others stay stuck in the same financial loop for decades. If you want to truly understand how wealth is created, not just wished for, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because this might just change how you see money forever. Now, when someone mentions getting rich, what pops into your head? Maybe it's someone born into wealth who never had to worry about bills, or someone who spent 30 years saving every penny. But the real path to wealth looks nothing like what most of us imagine. In reality, building wealth doesn't follow the story we're usually told. There are hidden milestones, almost like invisible doorways. Once you cross them, everything changes. $20,000 is the first one. It marks the line between those who break through financially and those who stay stuck, living paycheck to paycheck. And here's the kicker. Most people don't even know this milestone exists. Imagine pedaling a bike up a steep hill. The beginning is brutal. Your legs burn, you sweat, you doubt yourself. But as you near the top, something shifts. The pedaling gets easier. And then, suddenly, you're coasting downhill. That's exactly what $20,000 does. Before you hit it, every financial move feels uphill. But once you get there, momentum starts working in your favor. And it's not just about the number. It's not about compound interest or investment returns, at least not at first. The most powerful shift happens in your mind. When you have no savings, your brain enters survival mode. Every financial decision is driven by fear and scarcity. You accept toxic jobs because you have no choice. You stay in draining environments because risk feels terrifying. You say yes to things you hate just to keep income flowing. This isn't just practicality, it's mental firefighting. It's like trying to plan a vacation while your house is on fire. All you can think about is putting out the flames. But when you've saved $20,000, something in your brain rewires. You stop asking, how do I survive until my next paycheck? And you start asking, how can I make this money grow? You shift from reacting to emergencies to proactively building a future. You stop chasing solutions and start creating freedom. A report by Vanguard shows something fascinating. Just by setting aside around $2,000 as an emergency fund, your financial peace of mind jumps by more than 20. That amount is even smaller than the cost of a family vacation or a brand new laptop. And yet, with just a modest cushion, you're no longer stuck in survival mode. Now, once you increase that cushion to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses, which is roughly $20,000 for most people, your sense of financial security climbs even higher by another double-digit percentage. But more importantly, your brain finally has the space to focus on doubling your money, not just protecting yourself from disaster. Let's say you save $1,000 every month, and that money earns an average return of 8% a year. It would take nearly 19 months, about a year and a half, to reach your first $20,000. This stretch is tough. You have to tighten your spending, turn down personal treats, and stay patient, month after month. That's why so many people give up before they ever hit this milestone. But here's the twist. The second $20,000 arrives much faster. Instead of waiting another 19 months, it might only take you 17. Why? Because that first $20,000 has started making money on its own, quietly working alongside what you continue to save. And the pace keeps accelerating. By the time your total assets reach $400,000, it might take less than 5 months to gain another $20,000. What once took nearly 2 years now shows up in less than half a year, almost like magic. Many people assume that fast wealth must come from secret investing doors, like private funds, exclusive networks, or hidden insider deals. Sure, at the ultra-wealthy level, there are some special perks, but that's not what creates your first $20,000 leap. The real shift happens from something far simpler. Basic math, compounded over time, that becomes incredibly powerful. Let's compare. If you invest $1,000 and earn 10% in a year, that's just $100 profit. Not life-changing. But if you invest $10,000 at the same 10%, now it's $1,000. And when you hit $20,000, 10% becomes $2,000. A number you can feel. A number that matters. The key is scale. The bigger the base, the more those tiny percentages start to mean something. When you have 20,000 earning 8% per year, that's around $1,600 flowing in, without you doing anything. No extra shifts, no side gigs, just pure return on your own capital. And here's the best part. You don't need some exotic investment tool. You can use index funds. Basic brokerages. Platforms anyone can access. The only difference is scale. And scale is what transforms humble percentages into financial outcomes that actually move the needle. But hitting that $20,000 mark is not just about stacking dollars. The real value lies in the person you become during the journey. To go from $0 to $20,000, you have to track your spending, say no to short-term temptations, and repeat healthy money habits again and again. Most importantly, you prove to yourself that you control the money, not the other way around. That is not just a financial skill, that is a life skill. And once you've hit 20,000, you realize something surprising. You're no longer haunted by tiny expenses. Before, you might debate with yourself over which cereal to buy, whether a $3 cafe coffee was worth it, whether to pump regular or premium gas. But when your finances are solid, you realize those decisions barely move the needle. What really matters are the big choices: where you live, what car you drive, how much you save, and what strategy you follow to invest. When you have $20,000 in your personal fund, you are not just more at ease with money. Your entire outlook on work starts to shift. In the past, living paycheck to paycheck felt like being trapped. You had no choice but to tolerate unreasonable tasks from your boss. You were afraid to ask for a raise in case you got replaced. Even when a better opportunity came along, you did not dare go to the interview because losing your only income felt too risky. But with this backup fund, you now have what is called walk-away money. You could take a few months off work if needed and still be fine while you wait for a better option. It is not about being reckless. It is about having the power to negotiate from a position of strength. Having $20,000 feels like carrying an invisible shield. Even if you never spend a dime of it, just knowing it is there changes the way you carry yourself. You feel confident asking for a salary that reflects your worth. You are willing to say no to unfair demands. You are ready to take a leap when opportunity knocks. That kind of confidence changes how your coworkers and managers see you. And often that shift opens bigger doors, more important projects, more recognition, and of course, a higher income. But here is where many people blow it. The moment they reach $20,000, they spend it all. They upgrade to a newer car. They treat themselves to an expensive vacation. They buy a house that is way beyond what they can comfortably afford. That is a trap. This money is not a reward for being disciplined. It is the foundation for long-term financial freedom. Think of it like a seed. If you nurture it well, it can grow into a tree that bears fruit for generations. Here is a bitter irony. Most people spend more on a car than it would cost to buy their own freedom. Think about it. Monthly car payments, insurance, gas maintenance. That adds up to $600 to $800 every month. Over 40 years, that is more than $400,000 just to get from point A to point B. And those same people will say, I cannot afford to save for retirement. Even worse, the second you drive a new car off the lot, it instantly loses about 20% of its value. So you are not just spending money, you are watching your wealth disappear. Now imagine putting that same amount into a diversified investment portfolio. Instead of shrinking, it grows quietly, steadily, into something bigger. Once you have hit that $20,000 mark, you stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, what am I trading away for this? A $30,000 car is not just $30,000. If you invested that money instead, in 20 years it could grow into more than $200,000. So buying a reliable used car is no longer a sacrifice. It is a smart decision, one that protects and nourishes your future freedom. Funny thing is, the person driving the flashy new car is often the one secretly stressed about money. And the one driving the old Honda? They are quietly building their net worth and sleeping peacefully at night. Once you start seeing things this way, that mindset quietly reshapes every big decision you make, from your home to your education, to your vacations, and even the way you chase your dreams. Once you have a financial foundation, you start looking at every major decision through the lens of opportunity cost. Not to become stingy, but to make sure your money is going toward things that truly matter in the long run. When you have a clear goal and you deeply understand the power of compounding, it becomes much easier to tell the difference between short-term gratification and long-term choices that bring you closer to real freedom. Having $20,000 in hand does not make you a millionaire, but it completely shifts how you think about money and opportunity. This is the line that separates surviving from advancing, being dragged along by life versus designing a future on your own terms. The most important part is this: you need to start right now. Your future self, the one who will live with the results of today's choices, is depending on this decision. And believe me, that future version of you will quietly thank you for taking action in time. $20,000 may not make you rich, but it is the turning point. It breaks you free from the exhausting cycle of paycheck to paycheck living. It gives you space to think about the long game, to dream bigger, and most importantly, to build a solid foundation for lasting wealth. Do not wait. Start now. Because hitting your first $20,000 savings milestone might just be the line that divides a life of just getting by from a life of true financial freedom and a future you can proudly call your own. When you begin to see every decision through the lens of opportunity lost, you start to realize that many things you once thought were essential are actually not worth the cost. Is a slightly bigger house really worth delaying your financial freedom by 5 more years? Is that expensive hobby truly necessary, when simpler joys can bring you just as much happiness? Having $20,000 will not make you rich overnight, but it is powerful enough to reshape the way you think about money, and more importantly, about opportunity. This is the line that separates surviving from truly rising. The moment you stop letting life push you around and start designing a life that is truly yours. Do not wait. Start today. Your future self, the one depending on this very decision, is watching, and when the time comes, you will thank yourself for acting early. Yes, $20,000 will not make you a millionaire, but it is the very first step that breaks you free from the exhausting money loop. It gives you space to think long-term, expand your vision, and build a foundation for lasting wealth. Take action right now, because reaching that first $20,000 milestone is the line that separates two kinds of lives: a life of just getting by, or a life of true financial freedom.